Hi, I'm Matt Asner, and welcome to On the Spectrum. Today's show, October, we were going to dress up and have fun, but I just didn't get that into it, so that's all I can say about that. I'm dressed as Matt Asner. That's what I'm dressed as. I wanted to take this show and talk about something that is really important. So the second half of the show is going to be all about employment in the autism community. We're going to have a roundtable discussion about what we need to do, what needs to happen, what needs to take place, what's out there, what are people doing, and I'm hopefully, if we can get our technical problems fixed, I hopefully will have a discussion with a good friend of mine who has autism and who has kind of solved his own employment problem. We're going to talk about what he did, what he's doing, and why he's doing it. But first, I want to talk about the Ed Asner and Friends Poker Tournament, which happened on September 12th. We had a great time. We had a lot of people there. It was a blast. I didn't do as well as I did last year, but that's okay because I got to hang out and see other people do really well. Familiar faces were there. Ed Asner, of course, was there. I call him Dad. And we had Alex Plank was at the tables again. He's going to be a guest on the show later on, and it was a lot of fun. And we're gonna go to a reel in a little bit that shows some of the great personalities that were there on that day. We did real well. We raised about $55,000 for the cause, and it grew from last year. We had the poker tournament in the new Hayworth showroom in downtown Los Angeles. We were on the 45th floor. There was a 360 view of downtown Los Angeles, and where better to play poker than in a 360-degree view of downtown Los Angeles? You know, it's the kingdom. So I think what we're going to do now is just kind of show the reel. We talked to some amazing people, Max Burkholder, Evan Handler, Ed Asner, Ed Begley Jr., Alex Plank, Nava Paskowitz Asner, and we're gonna roll that, and then we're gonna come back, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about what we want to do today. His name is Alex Plank. Alex, what brings you to this fine event?
Uber.
Uber. So you can have a few drinks and go home. Yeah. Are you planning on winning tonight?
I'm planning on playing, and I hope I win.
You played last year.
Yeah, I didn't win.
And you didn't win, but what's your strategy? What's going to happen tonight?
I'm just not gonna play fast. I'm not gonna bet too much on early on because it's a lot of people probably will be, and I'm just gonna play smart, I think.
Okay, so we're going to make sure he sits at my table, and well,
I love you and I love being a part of it. I hate poker. No, I love poker, but it's a great event. So thank you for having me.
What kind of strategy do you have tonight? You're going to come in, you're going to take people out early. What are you going to do?
I have a 2-word strategy: whoop ass.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
All right, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is Matt Asner for On the Spectrum with Matt Asner. And I'm standing here with Ed Asner, the namesake of this tournament. This is the third year. Are you happy? Are you excited? What's going on today?
I'll tell you definitively after I win.
Well, you're sitting at my table, right?
Then I'll shift tables.
Why do you do this every year?
To avoid you, I'm going to shift tables.
Okay.
So I want to get as far away from you as I can.
All right, now give us the real reason you do this every year.
What do you mean? We're here for Autism Speaks. What else were we here for? And we get to play poker. It's like playing in the Lord's sandpile.
That's perfect. We've got to end there. It's absolutely perfect. So, thanks, Dad. Good luck. All right, I'm here. This is for On the Spectrum with Matt Asner, and this is Ed Begley Jr. Ed, you're here the first year you're here.
That's right, but I'm a big fan of all persons Asner, and I have not been here because I've been out of town working in the past, but here I am in LA, ready to play, and I'm looking forward to it.
What's your strategy tonight? How are you gonna take out Ed Asner?
I play like a piece of anthracite. I try to be a rock and just wait for the goods, and then I bet like crazy. So I'll be folding a lot and only playing when I got something. How's that for a strategy? Now people are going to say, he's got something, I'm folding. We'll see how that works out.
Once again, we're seating him at my table, and that's the way it's going to be.
What table is that?
I don't know.
Oh, you want to get a piece of that action.
Are you a poker player?
Try to be.
Do you do the online stuff? Do you like?
Absolutely, yeah.
You have the
just
apps?
in special preparation for this event, I have been practicing every night.
Okay, he's been practicing every night, so he could be the big winner of the Yosemite gift package.
I'm going to be the big winner.
You are going to be the big winner.
I'm pretty confident.
He's pretty confident. What table are you at?
Table 4.
Okay, he's not at my table, so that's a good thing. Because I think he's a shark. He's a bit of a shark.
I am not a poker player. I have played a couple of times at Norby Walters' legendary sort of Hollywoodish game.
Yes.
And such a beginner that I did fairly well because I knew not to drink as much as the other people. And I watched them sort of get drunk and then be amazed at what a good player I was. And I thought, I'm not a good player. You guys have had too much to drink.
They're just really drunk.
Yeah, they're really drunk. Exactly right. Yeah.
So is that your strategy tonight? Just wait out the drinking and.
You know, I know the term play tight, so I play until people start saying, you know, when are you going to bet? Why do you play so tight? And then eventually,
smart way to bet.
And then eventually, if I have an unbeatable hand, I raise, and yeah.
And you just hope that you have an unbeatable hand.
I hope, yeah.
Well, you do have an unbeatable hand.
Yeah.
You're an amazing guy.
Oh, thank you very
and
much.
And you do a lot of great work for us.
Well, thank you for doing all the work that you do.
Thank you very much. Nick Eber, good luck tonight. What's your strategy?
Well, you know, actually,
We're at the same table.
you're the seat next to me, so my strategy is going to be to put a lot of early pressure on you, Matt.
Okay.
And try to part your chips from you.
You heard it here
From
first.
to me. Ship those chips this way.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready? You ready for the battle?
I'm
Ready?
Let's do
all right,
it.
let's
Do
go.
it. All right. All for a good cause, though.
Love you, man.
Autism-
Winning. So, what do you know about poker? Do you know anything about poker?
I don't know. I've never played. Yeah, hit. No, I don't play.
What's
poker.
your strategy for tonight?
To stay as far away from the poker table as possible.
As far away from the poker table as possible. Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Nava, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Matt.
And it's good to see you. Pretty cool. Lots of good friends. Like I said, we raised about $55,000 for Autism Speaks at the poker tournament, and but most importantly, I think people had a lot of fun. And it was the third year that we did the poker tournament, and it just grows and grows, and we're excited about it. Next year it'll be bigger and better. It'll be in September again next year, and we'll really hopefully you can come out and partake. I think the winner got a trip to Yosemite in a 4-bedroom cabin. Not bad, not bad. Also in October. We'll have some video on this probably next the next show. We had the Autism Speaks to Los Angeles Celebrity Chef Gala, and I got to tell you, it was a great event. We had Conan O'Brien host, Bob and Suzanne Wright were honored, and Pink performed. And the greatest thing about it was we had 54 tables of 10. And at every table was a top chef cooking dinner for those 10 people. So it was a wonderful thing. We do it every year. Autism Speaks does it every year in New York. And we decided to do it this time in Los Angeles and honor the Wrights for their 10 years of service to Autism Speaks and the community. And it was an amazing event, We'll show some footage from that on the next show. We're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk to Jeff Knapp, who is an old friend of mine who has autism and who has kind of solved his own employment solution or problems. We're going to talk to him about what he's doing, what he's up to. So we'll be right back with On the Spectrum.
Here mid-swing on this wonderful day, this wonderful walk with Mr. Matt Asner. Talk to us about today's walk. Do we have any facts, figures, numbers, or just pure emotion?
Just pure emotion.
I'm about to get the numbers. We'll see what it is.
Okay.
I think it's probably close to 1.6, probably. That's my feeling. But it's incredible. We had 55,000 people plus here today, and you know, you know, honestly, I've been here 7 years. It gets better and better and better. So.
And really, what you've fostered here today is hope. I know that's your favorite four-letter word.
Where are we without hope?
Where are we?
Really, I mean, seriously, where are we without hope? Hope is everything. Hope is eternal.
This is a pretty big event. Every year, I love it. What does this event mean to you?
Well, I just think it's great that you see so many people coming out to support, autism.
So we're here with Max Burkholder. In your life, there's a whole community of people that are going to love you no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, and that's the autism community. Are you okay with this? Is this a good thing?
I'm pretty okay with it. This seems to be a pretty happy, supportive community.
Well, what did you learn about autism through portraying this wonderful character?
Sort of the individuality of it. You know, like with autism spectrum disorders, a tendency is to sort of generalize everybody with sort of the same degree of affliction as sort of exactly the same, and very generalize them a lot. But something I found while just talking to everybody, and that I tried to put into the characters, just the sense of individuality that all of them have, everybody has. And so at a certain point it became not really even portraying autism, it just sort of became portraying the character.
I want to thank you on behalf of everybody for what you do.
That's very sweet.
To bring awareness and to raise money. That's a tremendous, tremendous legacy. But as a dad, you've got other things that you're doing as well.
Yeah.
I want to know, as a family, if you have any advice, what's been something that's been helpful to you personally?
You know, get your autistic kids out in the community. I mean, my son's got a guide dog, so he goes to a lot of cool places. He surfs, he skis, does gymnastics. He's actually trying Hebrew school. I'm not quite sure if he knows what's happening there, but he does all kinds of cool things, and he has a lot of friends. Right now, most of his friends are the adults who take care of him, and over time, hopefully he'll have more friends who are his age, and you'll see him walking around, and people won't be nervous around him. The dog's been very helpful with that. It's like the dog is like the most infectious thing in the world. Like, everybody wants to be near the dog, and he sees that, and he gets some of that affection laid onto him. So as a family, you know, we're just there to support Tyler and make him happy.
Welcome back to On the Spectrum. I'm Matt Asner, and we're going to talk now about something that I think is really important. I'm not alone in this. Employment is one of the biggest issues facing the autism community, and it's a real problem. And as I've said before, I think we really, as a community, and as a larger community, as the employment community, we need to make a paradigm shift. And we need to understand that when we hire someone with autism, we're hiring someone who is a model worker and who's never late, who's honest, who works hard. And those are things that we need to make sure that employers understand. The only way that's going to happen is through awareness and talking about it. So we're going to do that here today. I'm going to introduce my first guest, who is Alex Plank. Alex?
Hi, Matt.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Alex has autism.
Yeah.
And Alex, you kind of solved your own employment problem. You have a job.
Well, yeah, I run a website called wrongplanet.net. It's the leading community and resource for individuals and parents of those on the spectrum. And we have 100,000 registered members now.
So, and that's a full-time job, is it not?
Oh, it is, yeah.
And you get sponsors, and
that's right.
You know, it's a operating, like you said, 100,000 people.
Oh yeah, registered, and we get 20,000 unique visitors a day, and it's been active since 2004 when I was in high school. I started it.
Now, is it only for people with autism, or can anyone join?
Anyone can join you. You're
I don't
allowed
think
to.
I've joined yet, have I?
Well, I don't know. I have
Am I on the
100,000
roll?
members, so I don't check.
Maybe I'll make it 100,001.
Yeah, well, I think it's more than that already. I just meant like at least 100,000.
Well, I'm going to join. I'm going to join today.
You are. Why don't you join right now?
Well, because I'm doing my show.
Okay. Well, it only takes 5 seconds. So.
Well, I'll do it with you after the show.
Okay.
Okay. So you can walk.
I'll make sure that you do it.
All right. So tell us a little bit about. Did you always know you were going to do this, or?
Yeah, ever since I was 1 year old, I wanted to create a website for autism. And, well, I'm just kidding. Actually, I didn't even get diagnosed until I was 9. And when I was 9, I didn't know anyone else like me. My parents looked for books about Asperger's, and it was just sort of this rare condition. Back then, it was treated as such, even though it's not.
How old are you?
Right now,
yeah.
I'm 29.
So you're the same age as my brother.
Okay.
So.
Have I met your brother?
I don't think so, but we'll have to do that. So, when you were born, when you were diagnosed with autism, what, it was about 1 in 5,000 or so?
I don't know what
I think that was the
exact number was.
So, when did you start thinking about employment?
I mean, throughout high school and middle school and even elementary school, they talk about what are you going to be when you grow up. So, from an early age, I think that's seen as something that's important to your identity as a person, having a job and what you do. So growing up, I always hoped to do something fulfilling, and I was really interested in computers at first, so I wanted to be a computer programmer, but I eventually switched to the film industry and working on television.
And so the website just kind of happened?
Well, what happened was I had met this other kid on the spectrum, 15-year-old guy named Dan Grover, and we were chatting over Instant Messenger. We met on this small little site called Aspergia, and we were like, this site sucks, and we were like, well, why don't we just do something better? And so we created it together, and eventually Dan left and went on to do other things, but I kept running it and growing it.
That's great. And so do you go to the office every day?
No, I work from home. I have a team of volunteer moderators who make sure that the site has family-friendly content, because as you know, anyone can post on the site. So we have to make sure that it's safe, and kids go on and teenagers, so we ensure that all the content on there is good. I mean, that's not to say that you can't discuss adult issues on there, but it's restricted for kids.
Well, one of the things that I've always been impressed with about you is I think you've always been a fairly objective person.
Right.
Someone who cares about other people, who's interested in other people, and who wants to tell it like it is. And I applaud you on that. I think
thanks.
You have a mind of your own.
I do. I have my very own mind, and I really like it.
That's very true. That's very true. So I want you to talk with my next guest with me, because
okay.
Jeff Knapp is a friend of mine from high school. He has autism.
Cool.
And Jeff had some issues with employment, and I want to talk to him a little bit about his road to what he's doing now. Folks, I want you to meet Jeff Knapp. Jeff, are you there?
I'm out here in the middle of training yard / trailer yard outside of Indianapolis, Indiana.
All right, well, we're going to get to what you're doing in that training yard in a minute, but I want you to, I just want to tell a little bit about you. Jeff and I were high school chums. We went to the same high school and we're friends, and reconnected through the miracle of Facebook. And I kind of kept up with Jeff here and there, and he was a guest on my last radio show. And since then, Jeff was doing visual effects at the time, and since then, Jeff has kind of hit a brick wall, so to speak, in terms of visual effects, and it left him with a little bit of a problem, an employment problem. So, Jeff, I wanted to talk about your journey. Let's talk first about what happened with the visual effects stuff, and then we'll move on from there. So, what was going on?
Okay. Well, I was working for a company out of San Francisco, and it was all kinds of, graphics animation, motion graphics and stuff. It's mostly B2B, business to business kind of stuff. It was mostly tech clients, everything from Seagate to Salesforce and stuff like that. And I had a pretty nice gig. I was able to work at home in my own office, so I could stay out of the whole office politics nonsense and so on. And they liked my work, and but the company was not particularly well managed, and we lost our primary client, Salesforce, and we were never recovered. And so as of last December, the company laid everybody off and put us all on freelance status. I was assured that I would continue to get plenty of work, but of course that didn't happen. So I struck out looking for other freelance work, and at first things were looking pretty good. I got responses fairly quickly from two very promising things, but one was an ad agency downtown, and another was a company similar to the one I'd been laid off from, that had no location. They were literally a virtual company. But that company required me to interact directly with the client. And that is something, as an ASPE, I'm not particularly good at. And so after a trial run and having one success and two not so successes, they bid me adieu. The ad agency seemed to work great, but I was on site most of the time, and for whatever reason, and this has been my history as an ASPE, I would get every indication to me that I had done great work and they're very happy with me, and yet somehow I never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And I would call back and say, you got work? And they'd say, oh, sure, we got something coming up. Oh, yeah, we got projects coming up. But nothing ever happened. And as an ASPE, I'm clueless. What did I do wrong? What was wrong? They're never going to tell you. Chances are they don't even really know themselves. They just know that they've referred other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so.
Can I ask you a question, Jeff?
Yeah.
When you went out for these interviews, were you open about being on the spectrum?
No, I was actually very much keeping that quiet because several years ago when I was working in Seattle, I made that mistake at a creative agency up in Seattle, and they were all excited about my reel and everything, and then I revealed to them, and their whole attitude towards me changed like that.
Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, what? So you said to them that you have Asperger's, and they literally.
I watched the guy's face go from a smile, big broad smile, to oh.
That's the worst reaction.
Does that ever happen to you, Alex?
Well, I generally wouldn't say it in a job situation just because I don't know how relevant it is necessarily to me getting hired. I mean, maybe I've mentioned it after I've been working at a place for a while, and it didn't seem to be a problem, but that's because they already knew me, and
right.
and I said it to sort of explain some things.
Well, I mean, that must have been very disheartening.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was really bad. And I just made sure that I was never going to make that mistake again.
Right.
Of course, I don't know what it is they notice about me, but clearly they notice something, and I'm just on that don't call him again list.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
and
now, sorry, go ahead.
And that's been my story.
Yeah.
The company in San Francisco, I think what saved me was the fact that I had very little.
Well, I know you, and I'm
yeah.
I think you're a great guy, and I'm shocked by that story. Now things got very desperate, and you considered doing some very unsavory things. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, at one point I had, before I got this gig in San Francisco, I actually spent several months working doing post-production at a porn company.
Mm-hmm.
And, that one went sour. Of course, not such a terrible thing in that case, because as I was there, I learned that they were anything but a well-run company.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the biggest in the industry, and I expected them to be like any other company. You know, content is content. No, wasn't really the case. They were a slipshod operation.
you actually considered shooting that.
I did at one point considered shooting porn. I was thinking, okay, you know, I know camera work, I know lighting, I know editing, and I see the crap that gets done, and I just said, you know, I can do better than that. But you got to have startup capital.
Yeah.
And even if it is porn, if you want to do it right, you got to have the money to be able to rent, you know, proper equipment and be able to hire attractive performers and, you know, be able to hire locations or sound stages and stuff. And
so was it?
You know, I wasn't going to be the guy to go into a hotel room and with a handheld camcorder and, you know, shoot more POV one guy with a camcorder porn. That's not what I wanted to do.
Was it like a crisis of conscience as well?
What do you mean by crisis of conscience? No, I have no problem with pornography. To me, pornography is perfectly legit so long as everybody involved are adults and are willing performers, et cetera, and so on. I didn't have that as a moral issue. To me, porn is just content.
Well, I'll say this then, okay? I'll say that I'm so glad it didn't work out, Jeff. I'm so glad that I don't have to have you on and call you a pornographer. So congratulations. So let's move on from that and let's talk about what you ended up doing, because I think it's fascinating. You know, things got very desperate.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we've had to, my wife and I have had to borrow, beg, steal from fans and family to keep a roof over our heads and keep our car in the garage and keep ourselves fed. My unemployment ran out last June. So 8 years ago, after a gig I had in Seattle fell through, again, same reason, I decided, what can I do that is going to keep me away from having to deal with people most of the time? And what is there a demand for, so I don't have to compete with 10 other people for the same position every time.
Right.
And my research found long-haul trucking. And I love driving. I love being out on the road, and I love the solitude. So I went to go training back then, and I drove for one company, and not quite a year happened. My then wife decided to dump me and sell my house out from under me and my car and leave me homeless and penniless.
Oh, wow.
So that sent me back to LA, and which is when I said, okay, enough of the trucking thing, and I'm gonna try and get back into graphics, and and that's when I did porn, and then found the San Francisco company and so on. And but as I could not find any more work in LA, I wasn't competing. It wasn't 10 people for every one position. It was like 100 people for every one position.
Right.
Of doing what I was doing, and these companies, they want the young hotshots right out of art school,
right?
Or they want the rock stars who have a proven track record of winning awards and that kind of thing.
And I see, like me, you have a little gray in your beard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
And I'm sure that didn't help. And so, I mean, the industry, as you know, Matt, is probably one of the most abusive industries in the entire world. Is entertainment.
At times, it's soul crushing.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't blame you for saying enough is enough. Now,
Yeah.
So you went back to trucking.
My wife and I had a long talk, and we decided that going back to trucking was probably the best option for me, because when I did it before, there were aspects of the job I genuinely enjoyed. I did enjoy the solitude.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed being out on a road in this big vehicle that I could see so much more of the countryside than you can from a car.
Yeah.
The aspects I didn't enjoy so much were the truck stops and having to pay for showers and having to pee in a bottle in the middle of the night.
Hey, when you got to go, you got to go, Jeff.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you. I mean, I've been like following your path on Facebook. It's been amazing. I mean, you've been through this entire training program, and right now you're kind of at the very end of that training program, and it's a difficult one. It's this very, very rigorous, difficult program. And at the
it is.
And I keep seeing, you know, I think you took a test today and you failed it.
Yeah, I mean, first off, these companies, because of liability insurance issues, financial issues, and so on, are very, very serious about safety.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, a loaded semi is 73 feet long, 11 and a half feet tall, 10 and a half feet wide, and weighs upwards of 80,000 pounds.
Mm.
That's a lot of vehicle to be hurtling down the road at 60, 65 miles an hour.
Yeah, you really got to trust someone when you hire someone to drive that. That's true. So, but you I said you failed the test today. You did fail the test today, but you just made a simple mistake, and you get to take the test again in the next couple of days, and you know what you did wrong. And I'm not going to jinx you. I think you're going to pass. So
I think I will too. I mean, the main test I had to do a couple weeks ago was the state examination, which had 5 parts. The first part was a detailed inspection of the outside of the vehicle, and I do mean you're getting down on your hands and knees and looking at every part underneath the truck and under the hood and everything and inspecting it. Second part was inspecting the inside of the cab. The third part was testing the brake system, and it's not just a matter of stepping on the brake and, they work. This is a multi-part complex air brake system that you have to do a number of different things to test. And then the fourth part is the backing test, where you have to back your 73 feet and 53 feet of trailer into a very tight space. And then the fifth test is the actual road test, which ironically enough was the easiest part.
Mm.
And I had to do that twice.
So when you pass this final test, you will be able to go out on the road and haul things for people, and create a living for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, for the first month, I will be teamed with an experienced driver who will act as an on-the-road instructor, who will kind of show me the ropes of how it's done for Celadon, which is the company I'm going to be working for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to, let me repeat that. I'll be out on the road with a trainer for the first 10,000 miles for the company I'll be working for, and he's going to give me the lowdown on how it's done for this company. Then after that, I will indeed be in my own truck, and I will be out on the road, and I will be hauling 80,000 pounds of vehicle across the country.
Now will your wife go with you?
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. She'll be able to come with me because of her medical needs and requirements. She can't go out with me for very long, but I'll be able to take her out for like a week at a time.
Now this is, this is a great option for people who are on the spectrum who can drive.
I think for certain people, you really have to be somebody who is comfortable handling a vehicle, and not everybody can do that. There's a lot of attention to detail, which is, for a lot of Aspies is a good thing.
Right.
But if you're the type of Aspie who really does not enjoy interacting with people all the time, and I am one of those, and so you enjoy your solitude, this might be a very good choice for you. And I can tell you there is projected to be, by the end of this year, a 50,000 driver shortage in the industry. The industry is hurting for drivers. That's why these companies are running their own trucking schools and moving people through and putting them in the trucks.
Now, are you in a union, or do you have to join one?
It's mostly a non-union thing. From my understanding, 30, 40 years ago, it used to be heavily unionized. But like so much of what's happened in America since the 80s, unions have largely been pushed out. one of the few places I understand that there still is strong union representation is in IATSE, the guys who haul around equipment for the studios.
So it's within the industry.
Within the industry, yeah.
Well, Jeff, I applaud you for your dedication to your family and yourself and your inventiveness. And, you know, I'm very impressed by your story. And I think, I hope it inspires some people who are listening to this and to go out and experiment and, you know, try to find something. Because, you know, as we said in the beginning of this show, there's a tremendous employment shortage for people who are on the spectrum, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we leave you, but when you leave us. But I just can't say how impressed I am with you. You know, I was impressed with you in high school. I'm impressed with you now, and I'm glad we're friends.
Well, thank you very much for that. I'm glad we're friends too, and I'd really like to keep in touch.
Absolutely, we will. We will. Will you do me a favor? Will you let me know when you pass? I'll probably see it on Facebook, but just shoot me a text and let me know you passed.
I will do that.
All right, and I'll say a few prayers for you, and so will Alex.
All right.
And,
all right.
And give your wife my best, and thank you for joining me today.
All right, thank you much.
All right, Jeff, take care.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
All right.
That was
Bye.
Jeff Knapp, who really kind of took control of his life and created something for himself in a world that really was not giving to him.
Right.
And we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back, and we're really going to kind of try and get into that and talk about employment.
That's a good idea.
And what we can do to shift this world for people, you know.
Yeah.
And I see it as a three-pronged attack. And we'll talk about that when we come back.
Cool.
We'll be right back. This is On the Spectrum. We'll be right back.
What is autism? What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
What is autism?
I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to just
Jeez. Let me think. Oh man, that's a rough one. Yes.
Autism.
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them. Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
It's always unique, totally intelligent, and sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love. The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these three words. There is hope.
Hi, welcome back to On the Spectrum. Joining me now, we're going to have a little open discussion about employment and solutions to this problem in the autism community. On my far left is someone you probably all know, Shannon Penrod from Autism-Live. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. It's really cool to be on this side of the table. It's very
It's going to be
exciting.
an interesting
Thank you
thing.
for
This is the
inviting
first
me.
time we've done something like this,
Yes.
so we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
On my middle left would be Alex Plank, who you just met a few minutes ago. Alex, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me again.
I expect you to really contribute here.
I feel that I can contribute quite a bit. I hope.
Good. And to my immediate left is Dina Kimmel from We Rock the Spectrum. Hello, Dina.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you for being here. We've got a very important topic. The topic is employment. And I'm going to do a little rant and then I'm going to open it up. So I really see this.
I like it.
I really see this as a three-pronged problem. And the first problem, it begins at home with parents. And I think parents need to, from day one, when they realize they have autism in their household, they have to start really looking at that kid and really training that kid for a future. We have to think vocationally from day one. So parents need to, and I think a lot of times we're all dreamers, we're romantics. We want our kids to be, I've said this before, we want our kids to be the second baseman for the Royals or the Yankees, and we want them to be president of the United States. And it's very difficult to let that go. And I think first thing we all need to do is realize that we need to look at what they're doing, where they're gravitating towards, and really move them in that direction. And give up our own desires and really let them kind of make their own way. And I think we've all won. If we've given our children the ability to make themselves happy, I think we've all won.
I think so.
Yeah. Second prong is teachers. I think our schools need to look at vocation. They need to start looking at vocation early. And this is for all kids. And we've got rid of shop, we've gotten rid of music, we've gotten rid of a lot of theater programs.
We've gotten rid of music?
For the most part, music has left the schools. And now it's considered an enrichment that you do outside of the schools.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that's wrong. I mean, we need to cater to our kids. Our kids are individuals. All kids are individuals. And we need to make sure that kids move in directions that are self-propelled. And the teachers, who are basically the most important people second to parents in a child's life, can realize that a child has a predisposition towards something, and they can move in that direction. They can move them in that direction. Photography, music, shop, woodwork. I mean, really, that needs to happen in schools. We've kind of lost our way there. And the fourth one is the employers, the third one, sorry, I skipped one. The third one is the employers themselves. And we need to really make a huge paradigm shift in this country, and we need to make employers aware that when you hire someone on the spectrum, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, if you hire someone on the spectrum, you're hiring a model employee, you're hiring someone who's honest, you're hiring someone who's going to always be on time, you're hiring someone who's going to work longer and better most of the time. And I think employers need to understand that. And the only way that's going to happen is through awareness. And the final one, so it's four. I said three, but it's four. The final one is our politicians need to get involved at the early stages of all this. Our politicians need to make some sort of decision to make this an incentive. They need to incentivize the hiring of people with disabilities. And that needs to happen. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to get employers to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I mean, we are getting people to do that, but we need that en masse, because there are way too many people coming up who are on the spectrum, coming out of in transition, and we need to make sure they're able to work, you know. And now I want to open it up, and you all are involved in this community. What programs have you seen that you can point to that say, and say, this is a good program. This is a great program. It's progressive. We're moving in the right direction. So I'm going to start with you, Shannon.
Well, I think it's notable that we have Dina here with us, and Dina, not only is she rocking the spectrum in terms of gyms, but she's rocking the spectrum in terms of jobs. So I think she's the perfect example of, at least I would say 3 of those. I don't think there's any politicians in your family, but you're a parent, and you're a business owner and employer, and there is a teaching aspect to what you do. So she's got 3 of your 4 prongs. So I'm going to point the finger there.
Well, and I'll say something about Dina too. Dina is just an amazing lady. I mean, she came out of a diagnosis and said, "I'm going to change the world," and is really doing that. And I applaud you for that.
Thank
and
you.
Do you want to talk a little bit? I'm going to skip you. But we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. Do you want to talk a little bit about your program and what you want to do and what your plans are?
Well, it's what we're doing, actually. We've already put it into play. And it was by accident. Us as autism parents, what's our goal? Our goal is to look at our child. Shannon and I were talking about earlier, have friends, become independent, and have a direction for independence with a job. Right. Now, of course, when I started We Rock, I said, okay, I'm going to teach my son to do this. This is just when I started my one. I go, I can do this. I can teach him how to work in this gym. Just work in the gym is what I thought, because I think that actually is one of the biggest disservices we give to our children is we underestimate them and what they can do. I know, it was mine. And all of a sudden, after Gabriel was in therapies and started progressing, well, forget about working the gym. This kid's going to be running the gym. Oh, my goodness. And then came the parents. The parents came to me saying, listen, I have my son or my daughter, and they're in high school, and I would really love, they can just volunteer. I would love for them to come in. So it really found me. I mean, here I was starting a new business, seeing the need, having Autism Speak support me, tremendously. You guys were my first lifeline to what was out there. And it really has evolved into this tremendous thing with We Rock. And it's not just at my We Rock the Spectrum, it's all my 30+ franchises. So I have to tell you my favorite. My favorite is a father contacted me. And this is a very pushy father, I will tell him, and he knows who he is out there. And it was numerous upon numerous Facebook messages and emails. Can my daughter get in there? Can my daughter get in there? Please, please, can you help her? She needs a job. I said, well, let me bring her in here to volunteer. Now, Nicole, who I'm so proud of, and I want to say that to the world, because now she's actually a manager of one of the gyms. When she first started 2.5 years ago, she wouldn't look at the computer. It was too intimidating. There was a lot of frustration. She was amazing, though. Her gift was these kids, these kiddos. I mean, they were just drawn to her. And I think because she wasn't so intense with the eye contact, because she didn't have the direct eye contact herself, and she was so verbal about her story. And then the parents were drawn to her because she was actually misdiagnosed. She actually has Fragile X and autism spectrum disorder. So here's this girl who wasn't socializing a lot, who's now socializing with the whole community of We Rock the Spectrum. So I went to volunteering to me trying her out in one of the We Rocks. It didn't really work in the first one. The owner, was not on board. And I think that's really what's sad. And we talk about this all the time as parents, and you're right, as business owners. I feel like, okay, well, we get the funding and we get the know-how in our school system. Okay, they have to give us X, Y, and Z for our children. Well, what about, I feel like we should be obligated as employers to employ children on the spectrum, or young adults and adults on the spectrum. I feel like it should be this is it. If you want to own your business, then a certain percentage of your employees should be on the spectrum. And Matt, you are right. They're bright. They're honest. They're on time. They want to do their best, and they're always asking, how am I doing? Am I doing okay? Well, that being said, okay, it didn't work out at this one location, and there's a dad calling me almost in tears. He had lost his wife, okay, and his wife was the head of the ship here with Nicole and her therapies. And I finally said, you know what? This is it for me. This is going to be a moment for me to make a difference.
It's a project.
This is a project. Nicole was my first project, and I can't call her really a project anymore. She is now her. I told her, she just had a birthday, and I wrote on Facebook, "You are your own inspiration now." I mean, it's truly amazing. So this last summer passed, and she came, and she was working hard. I said, "You know what? I'm going to pay you this summer." I said, "Let me see what money does." I said, "I'm going to pay you this summer, okay? We're going to start you out at minimum wage, and let's see what happens." Boy, does money motivate, right? So there she was every day, a companion with an awesome kiddo named Jacob. And I was trying to get her in, with the computers. Again, very, very, just, oh my gosh, it's too much for me. And then came Nicole wanting to do what Nicole wanted to do. Then came the behaviors. Then came, well, I don't want to work with anybody except for this person, Dina. Well, okay, these are what my other employees were seeing. Now, again, I educate them, and I can only educate them so much, but we need to be the example. So what happened? I called up Dad and said, we need to have a meeting. We need to have a conference. So there I sat with Dad. We talked about it. We talked about, my fears, what I needed from Nicole. It was very difficult for her to, hear. And that was our moment.
Really?
And she barreled through that. And now I'm proud to say, this was last summer, she's now managing the gym in Agoura. We rock the Spectrum Agoura. Nicole Mayer. She rocks. All of a sudden, we taught her the computer system. Not only could she do the computer system, she does it better than anybody. Not only can she sell the packages in We Rock, she does it better than anybody. She's our highest selling, really, employee. It's unbelievable. So there came Nicole, okay, and of course, who was out there and just, again, rocking the Spectrum, and We Rock the Spectrum Agoura, and represents We Rock. She's so proud of it. And all of a sudden, all these parents started coming in to We Rock. Can my son volunteer? And you know what the parents, as you said, Matt, it absolutely starts with the parents. So the parents were coming in and saying, you know what, you don't have to pay my child. I'm going to give them money,
Right.
Let's see if it works out. I will give them some money to motivate. And all of a sudden, we had four volunteers just in my location that now 2 of them have jobs with We Rock. And so now, yes, that is absolutely, as a franchisor, a national franchisor, and soon to be worldwide, that I am teaching my gym owners. You know what? This is a must. This is part of us.
And I think the element that you have there that I think is really working is awareness. You are creating awareness with your employees and the people who you come into your gym. And you're not only that, but you're also creating awareness within the individual with autism. On what they need to do, and which is really important, and I applaud you for that. I really do.
Thank you.
It's interesting. There's a, and maybe that is a part of what we need to do, is we need to have these progressive programs, and I'm calling yours a progressive program. We have to have these progressive programs that allow a volunteer aspect of what goes on, so that people can understand the dynamic that's going to exist there. And there's an interesting program, the Chabad in Pittsburgh is running a very interesting program. I don't think it's started yet, but they're in the process of making it work. And it's a community, and they're actually going out and finding jobs in the community, and they're starting out as volunteers for each of the places of work. And everyone in the community is involved, and they're hoping that it kind of propels it into kind of paying positions, and I think it's a great progressive program. There's also a very important thing. The owners of businesses need to just really take chances. And there's when I was in Korea, there's a Better Bakery is the name of it. And they got an endowment for $11 million, and the caveat to that endowment was that all of the bakers had to have autism. And so I toured this place when I was in Korea, and it was amazing, because Korea is probably way down towards the bottom of the hill in terms of services. But here's this incredible program that I thought was really progressive, and I hadn't seen really a lot here like that. So it's fascinating. We need more people like that. We need more people like you who are taking chances and are saying, I care about this, I believe in it, and I want to make it work. But I think what you're doing really right, is awareness on each side. And I want you to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's really so much about taking a chance, because what a lot of businesses have found, that when they hire people on the spectrum, they actually are more productive and result in better results.
And when I say taking a chance,
yeah,
I mean, I know that I'm not taking a chance if I hire someone with autism. What you have to understand is that most of the employers out there are going to be a little gun shy about doing that.
Yeah,
and we need to take
I think
that
that's
away.
the problem, though. I mean, I think that
is
because
the problem.
you look at companies. I was at a conference in San Francisco. I gave the keynote, and one of the other speakers was a guy from SAP, and he was speaking about how they had the goal of having, I think it was 5% of their entire workforce to be on the spectrum by 2015, and they found that, especially in finding bugs in software, that the people on the spectrum were like, I don't know if it's 10 times more effective, but they were incredibly effective, and they had a whole system where everyone on the spectrum had someone that was sort of their liaison and helped them with the issues that they had. So they had calls every morning to see where they were, and they made sure that the communication was taken care of. Because a lot of times the reason that there's a problem is not because the person's doing subpar work. In fact, usually the individual on the spectrum is doing much better work, but the communication is sometimes an issue. And that's not just a problem of the person on the spectrum, it's a problem of the organization and the culture that doesn't accommodate for the way that they communicate.
And that's what I'm talking about, is that the majority of business owners don't think like that.
No.
And we need to make sure that they start thinking like that.
And there's another company out of Denmark, I forget the name of it, but they are entirely employed by people on the spectrum, or staffed by people on the spectrum.
And I mean, you've got other companies here in the States. I mean, Microsoft has got a great program that that they started last year. There are programs at some of the supermarkets here in Southern California.
Right.
There are Spiritech is a great example of a company that employs people with autism as software testers. And Israel is a great progressive country in terms of autism, and you've got people with autism working for the military there in terms of satellite imagery.
Yeah, because they can see patterns that other people can't
Mm-hmm.
see.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, part of the issue is that people who are neurotypical tend to be inflexible, right? We always look at it the opposite, but really, people who are neurotypical get used to something being a certain way, and we call that right, and we call that normal, and we call that what we expect, right? And sometimes those of us who are neurotypical are afraid of anything that's different. And that's what we really need to get past. I think one of the things that you're doing so brilliantly is that you came to a crossroads, Dina, where something wasn't working. And instead of saying, oh, I just don't want to deal with this because it's different and I don't know what to do with it, you tried to look at it and say, how are we going to deal with this? You didn't even look at it as a problem, but you just said, we're going to try to deal with this. And I think that's where she took the risk, was getting out of her comfort zone, Alex, and saying, I'm going to look at this in a different way. And so what happened as a result was that you had a project that turned into an asset.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like, okay, as a business owner, before having a child on the spectrum, no, we don't think outside the box. We don't think, oh, okay, take that chance. I mean, it's not, I don't, punish the neurotypical community for that because they just don't know. But what I think is, and of course looking at doctors, pediatricians, they're not educated, okay, for our kids. So how do we educate? How do we get out and educate? So here you got it. I'm a franchisor now, and let me tell you, I'm putting it out there to the world and saying, listen, take a chance. You have no idea. Yeah. And you know what? Your father said this, okay, at the Temple Grandin, the event Temple Grandin. Do you remember what he said? It was something along the lines of, stop and meet, okay? Stop and say hello to that young, to that young adult on the spectrum. Yeah. And it, was talking about the inclusion films, and it really, it really got me, because that's really what it is. It's just stop, take a look, have a conversation, and really realize the potential. What's inside this person, what they'll bring.
Look, I agree with you. You just said something that I thought was interesting, and Jeff, our previous guest, mentioned it, that he was in an interview with someone interviewing for a job, and he told them that he had Asperger's, and he could see their face completely change when he said that, and he was horrified by that, that they would literally changed their mind just.
They wanted to hire him, and he by saying that he lost.
He lost the job because he mentioned that he had Asperger's, and
they loved his and that's the problem. It's something that even Temple Grandin says. Look at the person's portfolio, because they loved his portfolio. Yet by mentioning this, they thought, oh well, this might cause problems because they're just not educated, and that's a really big problem, I think, because people are passing up on employees who could be incredibly valuable to the company. And in the past, before people with Asperger's were even diagnosed, you see a lot of people as engineers who are on the spectrum. Temple Grandin talks about that. She even talks about how the person who figured out about fire, the person who discovered fire and discovered the wheel wasn't some cave person that was at the fire, in the cave talking to everyone. It was someone who was trying to go out there and figure something out and solve a problem. And there's a level of understanding amongst people on the spectrum of systems and processes that neurotypicals don't necessarily possess.
Okay, so how do we get there? I mean, your program's great, but how do we get there en masse? And how do we do it quickly? Because we've got kids, who are growing up now, who are coming into transition age, who need jobs, and 500,000 of them over the next 10 years. What are we going to do? How can we effectuate change that quickly?
I think everyone just needs to do their part. I worked on the bridge. That was a big deal, I think, because you see a detective who's on the spectrum working at a job and being actually better than her colleagues because of her unique way of looking at the world and ability to solve crimes based on clues that she sees and no one else
Which was
knows.
an amazing show.
Thanks to you, Alex.
Incredible.
But we need to have more out there in the public.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely. And we need to have more out there in the public that shows people on the spectrum.
In the workplace.
Well, not just in the workplace, everywhere. Yeah, exactly. We need to show that people on the spectrum can hold careers and are actually very good.
I hate to say this, but we need to normalize it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's exactly right.
We need to make it not seem like it's any different.
Right.
I guarantee you, any employer that has over 100 employees has someone working for them that is on the spectrum somehow. I guarantee that.
Statistically, it almost has to be, right?
Exactly. And
well, I mean, considering the amount of people on the spectrum who are underemployed or unemployed, I think it's like 80%.
I think it's a little higher. Actually.
Well, that was a study that was done that said 80%.
Yeah.
But that shows that all these people who are very good at what they do are just not having the opportunity to actually do it.
Exactly.
And a lot of times people on the spectrum, because they have that special interest and they're going to be more passionate, more interested in, and way more productive in what they do. And that's another important thing, having people on the spectrum doing the job that they should do.
How do we get to that point? So that goes back to what I was saying about teachers and parents.
Yeah.
How do we get to that point? How do we first of all, there's two things. How do we say goodbye? Not goodbye, but how do we say, oh, it's not going to be what I thought it was going to be. It's going to be what they think it's going to be. And then how do we get the schools to reintroduce, vocation as a topic, as an option in schools? How do we do that?
Talking about it.
How do we get there?
We got to keep talking about it. We got to keep talking to other parents about it, and that's what it is. It's creating your own, posse and saying, please, help me, come on board. We need to make a difference. We need to make a change here. I mean, I volunteer, for IEPs, and when I go into a school with an IEP, they're like, oh God, here she comes. That's how it has to be. So if a person is, if someone comes in, I feel like a workplace and being a business owner, I just feel like there has to be something. I'm hoping, like you said, our politicians, our new president to be is going to say, they have to go through X, Y, and Z. They have to know that, when they have a young adult on the spectrum, they have to do training. The employer has to do the training. The employees have to do the training, Because for me, all of my girls and the other employees in We Rock the Spectrums, well, they're already trained how to deal with children on the spectrum. Now, young adults, as you know, are completely different. So we are continuing to educate. So I just feel like talk about it more anytime you can. I wanted to become bilingual in Spanish. What did I do? I spoke Spanish any chance I got. We, as public figures out there, just need to talk about it more. That's what I feel like. I mean, that's I feel like the only thing we can do.
But don't you feel as a society we've become a society, and it's changed so much from when I went to school, really has. And certainly, I mean, I think it began to change right when I started going to school. But don't you think we're starting to, we've come to the place where we're viewing people as all the same, and we're trying to fit everyone in one hole, and that just doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work. I mean, test scores are all important. I think we're focusing on the wrong things.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's true, especially in this day and age where the power of the internet has allowed us to actually become more diverse in what we can do and how we can do it. And I think that, you know, with the automation of a lot of things, people are going to be having to think about rethinking their entire view of jobs in general. But I think that people on the spectrum are very good in this modern day environment, which it's kind of funny because, you know, back before the internet, you worked in an office with people, and now you can actually work remotely, work from home, and be able to not have to worry about that eye contact. You can do work at home, and you don't have to deal with the office politics because you're at home working on something important. And that's because of the internet that allows telecommuting.
I really think, I mean, I love everything that you guys have all said. I really believe that when you have something that's so huge that it seems insurmountable, it's like, where do we start? It's got so many arms and legs that the only way you can go is to the minute. And what you were saying, Alex, about everybody needs to pull their weight, everybody needs to do their thing. And I think the perfect example, when you think about 10 years ago, when we looked at insurance reform for autism, and I know I thought it wasn't gonna happen in my lifetime. This is not gonna happen. And I've seen the video of the people in Arizona, the parents and the politicians who got together to go on the floor in Arizona to fight for it. And they were 100% sure it wasn't happening that year or that decade. Yeah. But they went in and said, but we're gonna do it anyway because we're here and somebody has to do it, somebody has to start somewhere. And they all say that something happened, that everybody was in their lane, doing their job, and there was a shift, and they went, holy moly, insurance reform is gonna pass here today. And it was a tidal wave after that.
Yeah.
And now more people have insurance than don't. We're not there yet, but we're closer than we thought we could get. And I think the same thing could apply to this. If everybody says, all right, I'm taking responsibility for my business, and I'm saying this is how we're gonna do it here. And I say, I'm taking responsibility for my kid, making sure, and if the school isn't gonna provide it, then where am I gonna get it? I'll find a place to find it. If everybody says, well, I can't solve the whole thing, but here's my piece of the pie, I think we'll get there quicker than we ever thought we could.
And I think some of the problem is not just the fact that, you know, we need business owners to take a chance or make an effort, because most business owners aren't going to be doing that. They're looking at the bottom line. What we need to do is educate business owners of the fact that the bottom line is going to actually benefit from having people on the spectrum.
But who do you think is going to educate that business owner? I think it's going to be another business owner who says,
exactly.
I did this and it made me money.
That's my point.
We need the inspiration.
Yeah. Well, look at the program like I mentioned at SAP.
Yeah.
That's a major company. You know, they manage like almost all of the world's GDP goes through their software systems. You know, so I think that when you look at a company like that and you can see that they're actually benefiting from having people on the spectrum, other companies can then follow suit.
No, I agree.
But you need more than just them. You need other people to do it too.
I'll mention this. Autism Speaks did a think tank or a town hall at UCLA a year and a half ago, and had companies that were hiring people on the spectrum, and they were basically giving their progress report on what was going on, and every one of them said it's been a very successful thing to hire people on the spectrum, and it's only helped their businesses. And we really need to make sure that people understand that, and we need, it's progressive people like Nina and big companies like Microsoft and
SAP,
and Specialist Stern. I think that's who you were talking about.
Yeah, Specialist Stern. Yeah, that's the name of the company.
And Toyota.
Toyota.
Their whole mail room.
Toyota's a great example.
Yep.
Toyota's an amazing example. They have the whole mail room are people not necessarily on the spectrum, but people with disabilities.
Yes.
And I was amazed by that because they've been a great sponsor of Autism Speaks, and I went down there and I saw that and I thought, I'd never heard of this. And it's wonderful. We have to see this kind of stuff. We have to make sure that we report it, and thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
So that was incredible. So, and as a matter of fact, we just had the Chef's Gala in LA for Autism Speaks, and Kurt Harper, who I'm going to have on the show at some point. Kurt Harper is a surfer who has worked in the mailroom at William Morris for 25 years.
Wow.
And has autism.
I saw him. He was up there.
Yeah, you met him. Did you meet him?
I don't know if I met him, but I saw him on stage.
Yeah, really impressive guy.
Cool.
And there's a great short film on him. I don't know I can't remember the name of it, but it's a short film, and it's a wonderful short film on Kurt Harper and who he is and what he's about. And he's a competitive surfer, and he's an incredible young man.
And 25 years in the mailroom of William Morris, he's got stories.
He has, exactly. If William Morris can trust him in the mailroom, then anyone can trust someone in the spectrum, because that's it's a tough position to be there for 25 years. It's really tough.
Yeah.
So, well.
You know, Matt, I have to quick tell you, I was just at the CSUN, the Special Needs Resource Fair, and I have to tell you something. All of my owners, I encourage them all to go. We as corporate, please come. We pass out all the swag, as you call it, to hand out. But what was astonishing to me this year was how many young adults, on the spectrum, came up to our table and asked us for jobs.
Wow.
And some of them had parents behind them, some of them didn't. This was the biggest year. So word is getting out.
That's awesome.
One step at a time. Like I said, at least, I can't look at the whole big picture. I get overwhelmed. So it's one step, one day at a time, one gym at a time for me. But that was awesome to see. It was great. It was great.
And I just want to say that there is a program that we're doing at Autism Speaks that it's a website, thespectrumcareers.com, and people can register there. They can look for jobs there. There are corporations and companies that are listing jobs on there. I think TJ Maxx is one. There's a couple others. So it's a growing thing. It's a growing thing. It's growing, and it's kind of like a monster.com website, thespectrumcareers.com, and everyone should check it out.
It's dynamite.
So, final thoughts.
I'm just so excited. I think when you get the four of us here talking about this, it's a cross section of, what's out there, and I thought there were we heard hope, and we heard that there is progress, and I feel like I'm energized to go do more.
Yeah, I agree. I think that not only do people on the spectrum need to step up their game, and I think people off the spectrum as well, employers need to step up their game and look towards people on the spectrum, because I personally, when I was younger and looking for jobs, I would always go up to career fairs and be very persuasive to the HR people to try to get a job. But a lot of people on the spectrum are not encouraged to do that. They think that it's going to be bad, and they're not good at social skills, so they don't even try as much as they should. So I think it's a problem that needs to be addressed from all fronts, from people on the spectrum, from parents, and especially from employers. I think that's the biggest issue right now, is the employers who need to get on board.
Great. Dina?
Well, I'm leaving here today saying that, I'm going to talk to anyone and everyone I know that owns a business about what we're doing, and that's what it is. I'm realizing maybe I'm doing it within We Rock the Spectrum, but now let's talk about it to other businesses. Let's talk about it to other business owners and say, you know what? Do you want to stand out? You want to make a difference in your company? Hire a young adult on the spectrum. Give them a chance. Let them show you what they can do. So.
Or an older adult. It doesn't have to be a young adult.
Young adult, older, exactly. Yeah. I love what you're doing, by the way. I'm also walking out of here educated with what you're doing online and your videos and such. What you do, I think that's tremendous, because exactly like you said, a lot of the adults on the spectrum are just going to the computer. So I'm very excited to use you as a resource now on our websites.
Wrongplanet.net.
I know. Well, I know. Oh, I wrote it down. Trust me.
Say that for them.
Yeah.
Wrongplanet.net.
Yeah, wrongplanet.net. My final thought, we need to do better at communicating these success stories. We need to make sure that people understand that this is happening in our community, outside of our community, and we're getting there, but we need to do a better job. And it's one of the reasons I'm here. Hopefully, I can learn about this kind of stuff and bring it to you and let you know about it, and you can thank these people. You can thank Dina for her progressive work in this area. This has been a great show. I think we all learned a lot. I've learned a lot. We had an incredible gentleman by the name of Jeff Knapp who had this incredible journey that you all learned about. Some of you probably are shocked, and some of you are amazed by him. I'm amazed by him. And next month, I'm going to do this again. And we're going to have a roundtable again next month on a different topic. And I'm going to say until then, keep the hope alive. And this is On the Spectrum, signing off for today. Thank you very much.
The advice and